Greetings, We Know Texas Vino listeners. First, sorry for the late drop of this final episode of Don and Alphonse. Due to Don's recent passing, I wanted to re-edit this episode and add some stuff back in. Don had a legacy that he started and put Mason, Texas on the map for the Texas wine industry. He has helped so many people get started in the wine industry and find their passion. So to wrap up this conversation I had with Don and Alphonse, I will give 30 seconds of silence before the episode starts. God bless you, Don, and thank you for everything you've done for the Texas wine industry. And before we jump into this episode, come find us at Grape Fest. We will have a booth set up, giving away free tickets to the Valley View Wine Walk. Please see our Facebook page for the rules to win. So now, enjoy this final part of Don and Alphonse. Cheers.
My mother was insistent upon, don't be typical.
Be ordinary.
Not even fucking ordinary.
Oh my goodness. Oh man. Well, real quick, do y'all need to take a break? Y'all need to get up and stretch y'all's legs a little bit? And I know you want to socialize over here with them.
Well, no, I'm floating. I'm looking back. I'm looking at that because you might want to, and if you choose to, the guy who's responsible for me doing the damn ambition, he came in, not just on his own, not knowing this was about, and you might want to ask him, how did he come up with that particular idea on that side of the fence?
We could do that.
You know.
Yeah, but I just thought
I'd like to
yeah,
take a
because I
break.
mean we're like 2.5 hours into this.
Are we
Okay.
really?
Yeah, 2.5 hours, and I thought maybe y'all want to get up and stretch your legs a little bit.
Sounds good.
We'll take a break.
Yeah, let's take a break.
All right, 10-4.
So I want to talk to you because we're going to make this a separate episode also.
Okay.
Just talk about you.
Yes.
Since Alphonse told us his story,
Yes.
now we need to get the truth. Because you know how us guys, we've had everything. We sound like we're the best thing in the world since sliced bread. You know, so now that you're here, we want to get the truth out of you. You know, we want to get the truth of everything.
Yes.
So let's start the very beginning, okay? When Alphonse said, "Hey, I want to start a vineyard." Okay, so folks, you can't see the look on her face, but the look on her face, it was like she was like, "Oh man, do we have to go that far back?"
That far. That is like 27 years ago.
Oh my goodness. So first off, I want to hear how you and Alphonse met. I want your side of the story now because he told us his side, his version.
Right. We met 1983, and of course I was very busy with my 2 little boys, and so I didn't want to meet anybody, and a friend of mine introduced me to him, and she said that he has invited her and to invite me to go and have lunch. I said, and Divina, I don't have any time, you know, I go home to my children. And anyway, time went by, and finally I said, okay, let's go and get this gentleman out of being there. Almost
Out of being that, he said,
Yeah.
thought I was stalking.
He said one time that if stalking would have been legal in Mexico, he would have been in jail. And that is very true. He would have been in jail because I would be working and he would be like from here to the restrooms with his arms crossed like that, just waiting. And I said, oh my goodness, he's still there. And he says, no, I just come to say hello. I said, well, hello, how are you? Bye-bye. And I went about my business. But anyway, that's how things got started.
I see.
And then with some advising for a real estate that he had purchased, and I knew a really good attorney over there that he would hold the trust. Him not being citizen, he needed a trust to hold his property. So I took him over there, and he kind of fooled me because he...
Fool you.
Fool you. Not Alphonse. No, not him at all. No.
Oh, yes, he did. So anyway, the rest is history.
I needed help. Ayuda.
So anyway, we marched to two families. He's three children that actually became my own, and I had two boys.
Mm-hmm.
And then God gave us a daughter, a beautiful daughter that she's now 37. So that's been a
Nice.
40-year journey.
Mhm.
And 27 years ago, actually 29 years ago, he comes with the idea we are moving to Texas. And then I said, my job is here. You know, I just made corporate. I'm in Mexico City traveling every week and come back home to Acapulco on the weekend. And I said, you don't even water the plants. What? And he already had said that we were going to grow some grapes for survival. Because in my thought, I said, well, I'm going to keep my job and not move to Texas right away and have income.
Mm-hmm.
So one good day, this is May, we put the plants in the ground in May 73. So no, what year was it? May
1997.
73. 1977. 97. Put the plants in the ground. And I had told my boss, which is the owner of the company, I said, I don't have to move right away, but I'm looking to resign. And of course, he didn't want me to resign because I had been there since day one, and I had all the trust that anybody could have. I pretty much had powers of the company, 6 powers of attorney over the company.
Wow.
And that was the trust the man gave me.
Right.
And I said, well, I'm not looking at leaving right away. And he says, this is home for you. Yes. One good July, after we put the plants in the ground, he comes home, Acapulco, and he says, you need to think about resigning because there's a lot of work in Texas. The weeds are growing. He already had my boys here. I sent them in the beginning of July, but he was asking for me to come. I said, I can't come right away. I need to find somebody to take my place. I said, but okay, I'll do that. And I don't know what kind of face I made because he said, well, if you don't feel like it, you don't have to. I said, no, you just have to give me time. So we moved here, my daughter and I, she was 9 years old, at the end of November. And it's been a journey ever since then in Texas, in Boca, Texas.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't too far off what you said. There's a few little things you've added in there.
And working from, he used to say, from cane to cane.
Well, you know, one thing that you missed, and I don't know if you actually heard it standing over there, but one of the things that I really admire about both of y'all. So when I awarded y'all both the TV Munson Award, you know, and I read y'all's biography about y'all, there's a lot of love that y'all have between each other, for each other, with each other, and that actually expresses out into the grapevines. And then it goes from the grapevines, and it goes into each bottle of the wine. And then it goes from each bottle of wine to each person that you talk to that comes into y'all's door. Mm-hmm. And that is, we talked about how people try to take the romance out of the vineyard. Y'all are putting it right back into it. And you should, and I'm going to tell you what I think you should feel. You should feel honored with that. Because,
I am honored.
Because it is, working in the vineyard is not something for the faint of heart. If you can't get out there and work in the heat, work in the cold, work in the snow, maybe in the hell sometimes, but not all the times. Right. You know, a tornado might be coming through. You know, you're still going to be working out in that vineyard, and you're going to put blood, sweat, and tears into that. And that's not blood, sweat, and tears. That is blood, sweat, and love, and then tears.
What you just expressed is very true. It became a dedication.
Mm-hmm.
It did not come right away, being quite honest, but it grew as you saw the plants grow, as you saw the plants drying up in the winter, and then come March, April, you see this little green just showing life, and you said, well, what a blessing we have that we can connect with the plants.
Yeah.
And at one meeting that we had in not Twiga, but another organization that was formed by 17 people, Alphonse being one of the members, and Susan Kum was gone
Is that
already.
the Hill Country Symposium?
Recall the name of the organization?
Texas Wine Industry Development Advisory
Committee. And
That's a mouthful.
yes. There was the fella that is in Texas Tech teaching enology.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody said something about the vines and something about not just, taking it simple. And I was just a listener. I was not part of the group. I got up and I said, no, sir, it is not just that simple. It is walking your vineyard and knowing your vineyard and knowing, even by looking at your leaves, what type of varietal it is, because you have to do it in order to keep your vineyard healthy.
Yep.
So the gentleman that was at Texas Tech got up again, and he was part of the symposium. He says, if there is somebody that knows their vineyard, it is Martha Dotson. She knows every vine and every varietal that they have in Boca, Texas. Mr.
That is
McKinney?
No.
Ed Hellman.
Ed
Hellman.
Hellman, yes.
Hellman. Okay.
Yes.
and that right there, just having that what's the word I'm looking for? Not refermentation.
Affirmation.
Affirmation. That's the word I'm looking for. Getting that affirmation that tells everybody that you know what you're talking about. Take me serious, or go home. I mean, it's just plain and simple, because there are people in this industry right now that, if you don't listen to what they're saying, then you're going to screw up and you're not going to have anything.
Right.
If you have people who know what they're talking about, that the minute you speak, everybody's silence, then you know that who you're talking to is the real deal.
Yes.
And grapevines, and you're growing your fruit, each cluster is your child. You got to go out there and you got to look at them, because you can have two vines sitting right next to each other. One cluster is doing great while the other one's not, and you got to figure out why.
Why?
And sometimes you have to go out there and just actually talk to them a little bit, and you got to pet them and say, "It's okay, darling. You can go ahead and start turning verations and stuff like that." But grapevines, no matter where in Texas you are, each one of them are our child. From having a half acre to having 260 acres, you're still our child, and you may not be able to do the one-on-one attention you have like you on a small one, but they're still your child.
That's correct.
Yes. Then it came the winemaking. So our lives completely ended up. We can take trips together. We can not go anywhere. But anyway.
No, you can take trips to the vineyard.
Oh.
He could go out there and put some spaghetti out in the middle of it right there with some wine,
that we can do, yes. But anyway, that comes with what you just said, dedication.
Yes.
And love. Because if you don't love those babies, you won't do it.
Yeah.
You won't do it.
And I'm going to just say this. So I got to try some, we took a little small break. I got to try some of their wine here. And let me tell you something, don't, just because they're small, just because they're out in the middle of nowhere, just because you may need a gun to get out here. But no, seriously, I tried some of their wine, and oh my God, I tried, 4 different ones, 6 different ones.
Yes, you did.
You had me do 2 port styles, 2 whites, and 2 reds.
Yes.
And I'm just going to say, whatever you're doing, actually, let me look over here.
Good.
Whatever y'all are doing, don't stop doing it. Okay, keep doing what you're doing, because obviously you're doing something that's right and it's amazing, and I don't know what else to say. I'm kind of at this point where it's very rarely that I'm speechless.
Yes. Well, Alphonse has love. He's an artist. to begin with. And to that, I'm going to recognize this. The first years that he started the wine, interested in the winemaking, which was in 2014, 2013, we had the support and the advice of Don.
And Don's not that great of a guy, is he?
Whatever it was, it turned out to be good. And then he moves away and turns Alphonse loose. And so Alphonse is doing his own thing. And he says, come here, you got to taste this. What does it need? And I am in a hard situation because, first of all, I'm not a sommelier, but my palate is clean because I never smoke and I don't drink hard quartz liquor, but I do taste wines. And I would say, I'm tasting this and I'm tasting the other, but I think you need to tone it down on the alcohol because it's kind of high. So he says,
because I'm a wild turkey neat guy.
Oh, man.
He says,
You did
so,
wild
well,
turkey.
I need you to tell me what it is, because you have a dry palate. When you learn wines, you didn't go into sweet wines. You went immediately into dry wines, and especially reds. So he says that, well, we need to meet together halfway because we're not just doing it for us. We're doing it for the sweets and for the dries.
For the people.
Yes.
Yeah.
For that type of public that we have. So
That's awesome. I really do love y'all's story. Y'all really have a textbook vineyard/winery love story. Okay, just so y'all know that. Okay, we should do like a TV series about y'all.
Oh, look at here, man. Thank you for the love.
Alphonse is actually
man.
blushing right now. Y'all can't see it.
me.
Is that the first time he blushed ever?
well, he's blushed.
Oh, he's blushed. Okay.
Yeah, several times.
Now and then y'all will get me, Y'all will get
Oh
me.
man!
Yeah,
Well, I mean, really, truly, everybody I've talked to, and there's quite a few people that all have talked about y'all, and got to meet y'all at Twigger for the first time, and my folks met y'all. They really wanted to come out here and actually get to talk with y'all more because they really enjoyed talking with y'all. Y'all have a story to tell, and my job here doing this podcast is to get that story out. Okay, because when we get that story out, then you get more people coming in.
Yes.
And I want people to come out here and recognize what y'all are doing, because y'all got some amazing stuff going on here. And again, I have drank 6 different wines out here. I'm probably going to leave with more bottles than I actually should be.
Oh man, but look here, to be honest with you, we like, in our own way, surprising new friends and guests that become an extended family.
Yes.
Because constantly we get individuals that will walk in the door and say, I don't drink white wines, right off the bat. And I will say to them, with all due respect, I'm not hustling a tasting room fee, but we would like you to taste everything. And the worst thing that you can do with Martha and I is put us in the same boat as everybody else.
Right. And you're not.
And I will 100% to say that they didn't, 100% end up buying some white wine. And I say that not egotistically,
No,
but to come and experience, and they have the blinders on when they walk in, and like they do in most places, and we want them to take the blinders off, and that's what Dawn is doing in reference to not only Mason County and Mason, but realistically from taking it to the hill country, he wants individuals to take the blinders off and no only look at the hill country, but look at the Llano uplift and look at the Hickory Sands, and that each area has its own particularity that is unique.
Most definitely.
And we couldn't make good or great wines unless we had the foundation of excellent fruit.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, that's the foundation of all good wines.
Right.
Yes.
And really, and Martha and I respecting each other's taste by hers being on one particular side and mine being on the other side, and making this marriage work.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's the perfect team right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we always had comment that we work shoulder to shoulder even before we made the wine, because it was getting up early in the morning and go work the vines and make sure that they were good and well trimmed and
Watered.
and water and and it took a while to learn how to do that.
Right.
But we still learn every year. We go out in the vineyard every time season starts, because season starts right at February or end of January, and as it goes on, there's something new that we learn.
Yep.
Always learning.
Yeah, most definitely. Awesome.
Yeah, this year has been interesting in itself as far as watering is concerned. We have not turned on the well pump at all.
Right.
Which is never in 20-some years have we not had to turn the well on.
Well,
but we're not saying that we might not come on, later in this month, depending on, but based on the rain pattern, it's been different.
Yeah. And I think if we can just not let the rain taper off
Yes.
and let it get hot, and let it get hot for the next 6 to 8 weeks, and let these grapes get plump up and get that sugar up. You're gonna have some good stuff, because I mean, the grow. I know that there's a couple of who was I actually saw the other day. I think Aubrey Farms over in San Marcos. Okay. Grapes are starting a veraison already, and I think it's a little early. I think it should actually start probably, from what I've read, like late June. Actually, it's already late June now.
Yes. No, they are. They're beginning to.
Yeah.
They're beginning to.
Yeah. So we need the rain to kind of taper off a little bit. I mean, once a week maybe.
Yes, once a week would be okay.
Maybe rain on a Sunday, and that'll last the whole week.
I wish we had a button to program that.
I'm working on that one too. Okay, by the way.
Good.
That and the teleporting machine too. Well, Martha, is there anything you would like to add to this? I mean, because y'all's story is absolutely fascinating, and y'all have actually, like I just said, y'all have like the textbook vineyard and winery love story.
Well, we are just very fortunate that people find us here, that people walk away with our wines, and that humbles us, because they walked in expecting what they taste in other wineries or what they experience in another wineries, and we just let them do whatever they want, pretty much. They look at the clock and they're already trying to do what they do in other wineries, and come to know after 2-3 hours later, they're walking out with wine in their hands or bags, or even a box of wine with them, and that honors us.
Yeah. Well, and that's what we literally were talking about earlier, because when we took a break, we were like 2.5 hours into this podcast, and we're like, oh, really? We didn't realize it's been 2.5 hours, because it's that great conversation, great companionship, great friends.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, what you see is what you get.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Sometimes you're kind of. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, mercy.
This is the nice side of me. Those days are gone.
I don't think those sides will ever disappear. It's just going to be slower to anger.
True. Slower to anger. That's good.
Let's change a little gears now. And Martha, I know you actually had some stuff you wanted to go get done. So, I mean, if we're going to sit here and talk about AVAs now, I mean, if you want to enjoy this conversation with us about AVAs, you can chime in.
That's going to be his.
Okay. You're welcome to stick around and chime in and do like sidebar conversations and commentation and make fun of everybody else. You're welcome to do that. So we were talking about AVAs before we took our break, and so I'm going to name off the Texas AVAs that we currently have right now. And actually, where's my list at here?
I was just going to say something, if I
Yes,
may.
ma'am.
What? You're not finished, Martha?
Yes, I am. I just want to say this one.
Oh, man.
I think it is such an honor to be able to have the ABA. I know that Mr. Parr's daughter worked very hard to obtain this, and thanks to her effort, Donald and other people in Mason had made it possible. And I think that is what is bringing such a different taste in our wines because of the complexity of the soil.
Right.
And I think we're just blessed to have that.
Yeah, oh, most definitely. Most definitely. So, one of the education topics for this podcast is actually understanding what an AVA is and why it's important for grapes where they can be grown at. And so I'm gonna name off the current AVAs right now. So current AVAs we have in Texas right now is the Texas High Plains, which is like the Lubbock area. Then you got the Texoma, which is right there by the Red River. Then you got the Texas Hill Country, which is all that the Hill Country is right now. And this one came up, and I have not heard of this one. The Mesilla Valley, is that down around the Rio Grande, where Del Rio and all that is?
It's West Texas.
West
there
Texas.
are three of them out there.
Oh, so that's around Marfa, Chateau, it's around the Davis Mountains.
I think the
No,
Mesilla
actually,
is
that's the Texas Davis Mountains AVA.
I think that's the one that is east of El Paso.
Okay. And then you got the Escondido.
Or I'm sorry, west of El Paso.
West of El Paso.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you got the Escondido Valley,
Escondido Valley.
which is what around
Still out west.
out west. Okay.
Fort Stockton area.
Fort Stockton. Okay. And then you got the Fredericksburg, Texas Hill Country, which is weird why it came up like that.
That AVA came in trying to encompass a smaller area around Fredericksburg. Sort of follows along Highway 290.
Okay.
I've never seen a wine with that AVA on the label.
Right. I haven't either. That's why I was kind of like, I've not heard of this, but it's actually listed in the Texas wine map.
Right. Yeah.
And then, of course, the proposed ones. And
Well, you forgot Bell Mountain.
Oh, I'm sorry. Bell Mountain is actually right above the Texas Davis Mountain one.
And the Bell Mountain is center of Texas Hill Country.
Yeah.
And it's the oldest AVA in Texas. It was granted in 1986.
Okay.
Bob Oberhelman has had his winery there, his vineyard. Only winery and vineyard there. It was 5 square miles. And there's no longer a winery, and I suspect the vineyard's not there anymore.
Right. Yeah. And then I'm going to list the couple of proposed ones that are already out there.
Yes.
This is the Llano Uplift.
Right.
And of course, the one we've been talking about this whole episode is the Hickory Sands.
Yes.
And I know that there's some out there being talked about, unless like the Cross Timbers AVA.
Yeah.
There's one in the Piney Woods, which is East Texas. That's just being talked about. And then there's even a new one, and I can't remember what they want to call it. They want to call it the Red River AVA, I believe what it's called. I could be wrong. I can't remember what it's being called, but there's a couple of them that are being suggested right now. They're being tossed around, and AVAs they are important because they're a designation of the terroir in that area, and if people go out there, and I'll actually post a map on our Facebook page on the terroir, and if you actually go in there and you look, you'll have the different AVAs within an AVA, kind of like the whole Llano Uplift and the Hickory Sands. In fact, actually Hickory Sands is a sub of Llano Uplift, and then Llano Uplift is a sub of the Hill Country one. And I when I first heard about this, I'm like, why would you want to have a sub within a main one? Let the main one do the encompassing, but inside the main one, you encompass everything in that area, and then inside each one, you want to designate each little region that's inside there because there's different terroir that's in there. For example, when we were talking to Parr the other day, Parr said that when where their grapes grow at, it gets cold at night. Even in July and August when it's the hottest, it gets cold at night, and I'm like, well, that's weird. And they explain why. So that's some of the reasons why. So you have different things that goes on in different parts of the region. And so to be able to differentiate that AVA from the main one, that's actually really critical. So can you first off, I'm going to let you do this one. What does AVA stand for?
AVA stands for American Viticultural Area.
Okay.
It's given by the Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau. First one was granted in, it was 1980 to Augusta AVA in Missouri.
Oh.
And 1986, the first Texas AVA was Bell Mountain. American Viticultural Area, AVA, designates a geographic area that has unique topography, soils, geology, even water, that impacts the quality and the terroir of the wine.
Mm-hmm.
And I can speak to the Hickory Sands District AVA. It's an AVA area mostly in Mason County. Mm-hmm. But do you remember an old movie called The Ring? And it was like someone took a paintbrush, a 4-inch paintbrush, and made a sloppy ring.
Okay, yes.
That's the Hickory Sands. That's what the Hickory Sands AVA looks like.
So we're a scary movie, huh?
Yeah, scary movie. And it's like this scary movie ring. Although it's got a little part in it, so maybe it's a cue.
Okay.
But it's what it encompasses are first, it has to have a elevation above 1,500 above sea level. The second thing, it must have hickory sand soils. Mm-hmm. And hickory sand soils are mostly quartzite sand with some decomposed granite in it. Mm-hmm. There's a sublayer over fracture sandstone. There's a sublayer just above the sandstone, which is really slick clay. It's usually yellow to darker clay color. Mm-hmm. And it's so slick that when you wet it, it's almost like potter's clay.
Right.
Very cool. And then it must have access to the aquifer. And the Hickory Sands aquifer is a minor aquifer in the state of Texas. What's lovely about our aquifer, the Hickory Sands, is that it has a pH that's neutral to slightly acidic, which is just ideal for helping grapevines uptake all the nutrients that they need. It's in fractured sandstone, so there are pools of water. There's no one large, like the Ogallala aquifer. Right. There's no one large bay of water. It's small pools of water. So you'll be able to find sufficient water. There are wells here that are 600 gallons a minute for irrigation. And then you could have another area that does not produce more than 12 gallons a minute. So it's you've got to be very cautious about selecting your vineyard site because of that water. Right. But those three elements are the principal elements designating our AVA. You mentioned temperature change from daytime to nighttime, and that the amount that changes is called the diurnal change. Because of our topography, excuse me, we have a larger change than most of the areas in the Texas Hill Country.
Right, and it's kind of crazy how you can be in one part of the hill country, and then all of a sudden you go down just a little bit further, and the temperature completely changes.
Yes, in the evenings in my vineyard is elevation of 1,660 feet down to 1,600 feet.
Wow, that's a...
Yeah, it's a good slope.
That's a good slope.
So I can walk that slope and in the evening, I can feel the temperature change on my skin. I mean, very tactile sensation.
Is that walking or rolling?
It depends on how much wine I've had.
Well, you know, being a motorcycle rider, you know, I could definitely tell, you know, being out sometimes it's 60 degrees outside, and all of a sudden you go into like a small valley, and you can feel that temperature change, and you're like, oh, and it could be just as much as 10 degrees difference. You can feel that on the motorcycle. So it's fascinating how you can find those little areas that do that.
Yes, and the lower temperatures at nighttime help the grapes retain their acidity, so they don't use the acids as much.
Yeah.
The wonderful thing that's going to happen, we've been making wine out of Hickory Sand District fruit for 26 years. Yeah, 26 years now. 18 years on a commercial basis. So I've worked almost exclusively with hickory sand fruit in my winemaking. So I'm beginning to recognize terroir. I'm beginning to recognize elements in the wine that are uniquely Hickory Sands District. One of the elements is expansive bouquets. We have complex bouquets. There are many fragrant elements that show up in the wine. And I had one wine writer who wrote about a wine he had picked up. And he said he opened the bottle, poured himself one glass to give it a little air, and he sat it down on his table, and he went across the room to work on his computer. And he said not one moment went by that he wasn't able to smell the wine.
Wow.
So those kind of big, expansive, aromatic characters are part of our terroir, and it's exciting to be able to identify that, recognize that. Another thing is because it's sandy soils, we generally, and the time frame for our season, we get medium-bodied wines, generally not heavy-bodied wines. So part of our terroir is to get a lower alcohol wine, and they're balanced at that lower alcohol. They've got the right amount of tannin, the right amount of acid, the right amount of fruit character, and the right amount of alcohol. You know, in winemaking, you can do what's called chaptalization, which is add sugar at the beginning of fermentation to bump the alcohol. And a lot of people would want to add sugar to bring the alcohol up to 14% alcohol or higher, because it was easier to market a higher alcohol wine. Because California made us all want those big bruising wines. No, the wines in this region, if they're not chaptalized, they remain balanced, but they're balanced at 12.5% alcohol. I've even made some red wines at under 12% alcohol that are elegant and balanced and receive awards, receive third-party recognition for it.
And, you know, people need to understand that just because it doesn't have high alcohol on it doesn't mean it's not going to be good.
Right, exactly.
And that's a lot of misconceptions.
Right. And so our wines tend to be elegant. I like to think of them as well-dressed women. They are truly elegant.
You got Alphonse here now thinking, he's like, okay.
So hopefully we'll have folks like you taste Hickory Sands wines and think about the terroir while you're tasting it.
And I definitely was when I was drinking what Alphonse has here. And definitely you could taste the difference in the wine. I know one of them had a Chardonnay blend in it.
Yes.
You could definitely. I got a little. First off, I'm not a Chardonnay fan whatsoever. Okay, except for one place, and that's not because I work with him, but it's over at Arcade at Grayson Davies. His Chardonnay is absolutely beautiful. It's not buttery. It's not oaky. It's just a beautiful Chardonnay. And so I've been very picky about my Chardonnays. I actually taste the Chardonnay in that. I get the little pick of the Chardonnay grape, and I thought it was actually absolutely
in the
beautiful.
wines that we make,
Yeah.
what you say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was absolutely beautiful. I mean, it's almost like, as you're drinking it, you can actually taste each one of the fruit as you're drinking it.
That's our goal.
And
Yes.
that's
Yes.
what y'all supposed to be doing. So, but yes, people come out here and check these wines out. And one of the things I love about doing this weekend is I got to do wine from different AVAs in here. The only one I didn't get a try off of was Bald Mountain, obviously. But I got a try from the whole hill country, from different regions of the hill country. So we started in Mason, and we were all the way over as far as Johnson City.
Wow.
So we drink wine all through here, and I've actually got some Touriga from pretty well every part of the hill country except for Mason. Well, actually, I did get some stuff from Mason.
Oh, we were the Robert Clay Vineyard was the first vineyard in Texas to plant Touriga.
Yes, I got some from Par.
And the Par Touriga just got a double gold at San
Yeah.
Francisco
Nice.
I mean,
Chronicle.
there's
Beautiful.
Yeah,
And I was the first winemaker to make a wine out of Touriga in
Nice.
the state of Texas.
nice. Well, I just want to say that first off, it was an honor to be in the presence of you three. Okay.
Thank you.
So the honor is all mine here. I appreciate what y'all are doing, influencing the wine community, what you're doing right now. Alphonse, one day I'm going to grow up to be just like you.
Oh, yeah, fella.
I'm going to walk around with a cane. I'm going to follow everything that walks in front of me. I'm going to actually start down the line here. So, Alphonse, you are a gentleman and a scholar.
Thank you kindly.
What you have, what you've done, what you're doing, what you're going to be doing is absolutely beautiful. You've let life smile down on you like the sunshine it does every day on your grapes.
Thank you.
And you every time I've seen you, I've always got a smile on your face. And you've never met a stranger.
No, well, it's easy to reflect what I'm given, young fella, and you have a smile on your face.
Well, I think if you smile, you have people questioning why you're smiling.
Yeah, true.
And then I'm gonna skip you, Don, because you're gonna be last on this whole thing. Okay, I got to put Martha right next to her. And Martha, the minute I met you, you were just a ray of sunshine in the room.
Thank you.
And watching y'all at Twiga, and then getting to go up and talk to you in the president's suite, and just getting to drink wine with y'all, and just having a conversation with you. You've made everybody in that room radiate happiness, and continue doing that, and make sure you keep this man in check. Okay.
I will try my best.
But what you're doing with him, you're all complimenting each other, doing from the vineyards into the winemaking, and in doing so, y'all have produced some of the greatest wines that are being made in Texas right now. And
Thank you.
and I believe that wholeheartedly, because I mean, I'm not the only one talking about y'all. There are other people that have been talked about y'all. Don't stop what you're doing. Don't stop believing what you're doing, and don't stop experimenting. Don't let Don tell you can't do that. Keep doing it.
When they say you can't do that, actually, it's a challenge, and
Exactly.
we must try.
Yeah, I mean, you tell me you can't do something. I do that in my work. I mean, some people tell me I can't do something. Oh, it's done too late. I'm already going to do it. You know. And then Don, coming to you, you are the father of Mason. You know, you got the history. You do the historian, and you help people out around here. Life is an amazing journey, and you've got two amazing friends sitting right beside you on both sides that will sit there and help guide you and tell you what you're doing wrong to your face, at least. And then you let you go and humble yourself at home and like, okay, maybe he's right.
And vice versa.
But I'm not leaving here with three people added into my vision of my life for winemaking. I'm leaving here with three amazing new friends.
Oh, by far.
Thank you.
And
By far.
I will probably jump on my motorcycle now and just to come down here to visit.
Look here, you're welcome unannounced, young fella.
Oh,
Yeah,
trust me, you'll hear me.
No.
You'll know when I'm pulling.
Okay.
Just make sure you come at dinner time.
At dinner time, oh man! What time is the dinner bell?
Anytime.
Anytime. Well,
We'll make it work right away.
well, let me run through my sponsors real quick. So, obviously, y'all are with the Texas Wine Lover app. Sign up. That is probably the best place to find any winery in Texas, no matter where you're at. They've got every winery listed there. You can go in there and find out what they have. You can filter out what you're looking for. Great little place to find any winery in Texas. And then Fly with Wine. I don't know if you are familiar with Fly with Wine, but basically they make a suitcase that you can pack wine into it that's padded, and you can check it in when you fly home instead of shipping it through FedEx or DHL or UPS.
Really?
Yeah. And so
Okay.
it makes life a lot easier because instead of waiting for weeks for your wine to come in and go through customs, you've already got it, you've checked it in, and then when you pick up your luggage at the carousel, you've already got your wine. You can open the bottle sitting right there, get in the car drinking wine, and people are like, how did you do that?
Good
See?
to know.
Yes, it is.
That's good to
So it's
know.
called Fly with Wine. They actually sent me a 12 case or a case suitcase
Okay.
that has my name on it. We know Texas Vino on it. And it's just an amazing thing in the world. So one of these days when I grow up, I'm going to be able to go to Europe and take that with me.
Oh, why
Nice.
not?
So
Okay.
as we're coming to the close here, this is the best part of the show, or one of the best parts of the show, and we do wine quotes, okay? So we do funny quotes, we do thought-provocative quotes, and then something that makes you just scratch your head like, what did you just say? So here's the first one, and this I thought was a little funny one. So I bottle my feelings, but not my wine.
I bottle my feelings, but not my wine. That is
Okay.
good.
And this one's going to be a little bit more thought-provocative, okay? So it's William Butler Yeats, an Irish poet, okay? Wine comes in the mouth, love comes in the eyes. That's all we shall know. Truth. Let me start this all over again, okay? I'm trying to do
Right,
this
take
right,
your
okay?
time.
Wine comes in the mouth, love comes in at the eye. That's all we shall know for truth before we grow old and die. I lift the glass to my mouth. I look at you and I sigh.
Oh, well, how beautiful.
I mean, that it's actually
Yeah.
beautiful because of you two right here.
It is
Oh,
beautiful.
I found that one just for y'all.
Thank you kindly.
Yeah.
That is
Oh, hey,
that's
that
like a
is-
poem.
It is a
Beautiful,
poet. It's from an
yeah.
Irish
It's a
poet.
poem.
Okay.
It's an Irish poet. Yeah.
An
that's-
Irish poet. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm Irish, so it fit well.
Hey, I hear you.
All right,
Okay.
all right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So, Alphonse, Don, Martha, thank you for having me at this location here. Y'all are I'm usually two people here, but y'all are three amazing people who are huge influence in the Texas wine industry, and don't stop what you're doing. Promise me that.
We won't. Thank you very much, and we're very humbled that you took time to come and spend with us, really and truly.
I loved every minute of it. I mean, it time flew by really, really fast.
Okay. Well, that happens, they say, when you're having the right friends around. You know?
Exactly.
The right friends
Exactly.
and the right extended family. You know?
Well, before I finish out, there's one more thing I actually forgot.
Take your time.
Where can they find y'all's winery online and the address?
Here.
Well,
Wines of DotsonCervantes.com.
Yes.
Don here is doing all that. Do I have a presence on Facebook or online or anything?
well, I that's a good question. I think one of our kids has us on Facebook, I guess.
I think so, and
And,
also on the website.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Alphonse learned how to use his smartphone recently.
Look,
Did
yeah, I
he just
just
call you out like that?
Yeah, you know, hey, I just been fumbling around, man. You know, the whole thing.
So is that
of
why
it.
I got a random text message that says, "Hey, they're good looking"?
Yeah, you know, just Dotson Cervantes wines, and just pull it up and
Yes.
follow us.
It'll
and find-
immediately pop up.
Awesome.
It'll pop up, and you find us there. We haven't done a lot of marketing intentionally, but I guess we'll start. We wanted to see what the gossip would bring across,
If it's-
across the state.
We actually did. For 4 years, we traveled across Texas with one wine.
Yes.
So we, unbeknown to us, that was the best marketing we did.
It is.
And because we found out that it was a word of mouth.
Mhm.
We were given, 22 stores at Specs.
Across the state.
Nice.
The only job there was that we need to deliver the wine to each store we went and come on the weekends and showcase what we had.
We had the choice of hiring someone to showcase the wine, or and Martha and I decided that we would talk about our wines ourselves.
Because nobody knew it better than we did.
Right. Yeah.
And nobody would talk to that with that passion as we
Right.
spoke about it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Also, if you're a member of the wine club for Wines of Dotson Cervantes, you probably will get a telephone call from the owner, winemaker, Alphonse Dotson, just to
wow.
double check and see if you want to change any aspect of your order.
Interesting. That's awesome. Which doesn't happen all too often.
No, because he spoils our club members.
I tried
Are you
to.
going to spoil me?
Well, hell yeah. Look here. Well, that's the call it
I like my
spoil.
bald head rubbed a little bit. You know, I need a little lotion on it.
Oh, man, you know. Well, we spoil you this way in reference to wanting to. I want to hear your voice at least twice a year. If not, if you don't come this way, for some reason.
Right.
And we have a goal that we're trying to reach. Is 222. We were better than halfway there before COVID, and then we lost some members for whatever reason.
Right.
And in the process of striving again to get to that goal of 222. Someone asked me why 222. I say, well, I think I could make 222 phone calls at least once a year, and who knows, maybe twice a year.
Right.
And to see how you're doing.
Right.
Okay? Hey, see how you're doing. And come on in, darling, you know, and that rascal with you, you know, and get a feel for what's going on your side of
Right.
the fence. You know, it's a little bit more personal.
Right.
And our wine club, you know, most wine clubs, when you say that they're given a discount and they're picking up something 3 times a year, something's being shipped to them 3 times a year. Ours is 365 days a year. If you want something prior to those months, you can get it at the same discount. If you want to send something as a gift, we'll ship it out as a gift.
Nice.
Okay.
That's awesome.
On that side of the fence. So it's a little bit more personal, and she's right. I do try to speak to them most of the time.
So I'll give you my number. It's 911.
Okay.
And depending on where you're at in the state, depends on who you talk to, who you'll talk to with me there, you know.
Right. Yeah. You know.
So-
And actually, the purpose also of calling besides is not to send them what they bought the first time. It give them the choice of picking new wines.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you know, again, it's been an honor talking to y'all. You know, I've actually been looking forward to this podcast long before we got here. In fact, actually, Don, when I talked to you on the phone, we actually did a 3-way, actually the old school 3-way, where like you had somebody on another phone. And
That's right. My ears in the middle and then
Exactly.
someone on the other phone.
When you presented this to me, I got so excited. I was really, really excited because I have been trying to figure out how to come and see you.
Hey.
And when Don, you said, well, let's do this, I'm like, I'm on board. Let's do it. I don't care how far I have to drive. So again, thank you for taking the time to allow me to come in here and sit in y'all's tasting room, and we just have a great conversation, and I really enjoyed it. And I know there's still more to this story, and we're already hitting 4 hours now.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 hours. I knew this was going to be at least a 3-parter episode. We're at 322 right now. So, guys, gals, I appreciate it. I appreciate y'all's time. I love y'all, folks. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
This is Will with We Know
Will.
Texas Vino. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers. Salute to you.